All right, so I want to talk about great transitions. Often transitions fall solely on the responsibility of the keyboard player, and the pad and the piano play a vital role in that. It's not that guitars and bass don't play a role in that, but really it falls mostly to the piano player, because the pad is sort of infinite in its sound, and there's no other instrument on the platform that can play a chord, hold a pedal, and it just kind of goes on forever. Even hold notes for guitar reverb don't do it the right way. A lot of times piano and pad, and then the drummer with its cymbals, and the only reason the cymbals are a part of that is because they can swell a little bit, and the cymbals are atonal in nature, so they don't have any specific harmonic value, and those can help make non-near key transitions. But if we're making a transition in near keys, for instance like the key of B and the key of E, they share. The 4 chord of the B is the 1 chord of E, and so they share that chord, and so you might use that to transition to the next key. It's really important to know what you're coming from and where you're going. So if you're playing God I Look to You in the key of B and you're going to Reckless Love in the key of E, it's really important for you to know how this song ends, or how you're going to end this song, how this song starts, and how you're going to get there in between. So here's an example of maybe how to do that. You might play a down chorus or an outro of God I Look to You, and it might sound like this. Follow that 4. Now you're on the E. That's the 4 of B. You might stay there for a second. You may raise your dynamic a little bit to kind of add this little intensity to the moment. The click starts, you're in the key of E. So we just changed keys from B all the way to E, and nobody ever really realized that we did it. And that's kind of your responsibility to do that. Now, sometimes you change keys from something like B to the key of D. Let's say we end God I Look to You, and you have to get to D. There's really no cute way to work your way around all of the chords in the sonic chromatic spectrum and end up on the D. That's probably not the wise way to do it. And so that's where the drums come in, and the pad also fades in. So you might end a song and it swells out a little bit, and the drums are going to swell out with the cymbals, which will kind of take over the moment. And you might end the song like we just did. Maybe it goes to the 1 this time. The drums and the guitar swell a little bit, you fade out your piano, you hit a D and bring it in like this against the cymbal swell, and now you can go and you've just introduced a new key, and it wasn't cute and sonically seamless, but if the whole band is swelling out on a B and the drums take over, you get out of the way quickly and swell in your new key and establish that 1 against the cymbals. Nobody will even know that. So that's just kind of one way for you to do that. There's a lot of different ways to get to different songs. Sometimes the worship sets are really wisely key programmed, like A to A to A, or A to A to D, and you end on the 4 chord and you start on the 1 chord. A lot of ways that's often the way that it happens, but sometimes the song that you're singing takes precedent over a transition being cute, and it may be a B to a key of D, because those are the 2 songs that God asked you to play this week. And so that's where knowing how you fit into that and how to make it work really matters. A lot of times transitions are just you padding in between something. Maybe there's a prayer moment, maybe there is a prompt from a worship pastor where they're going to address the congregation, and you kind of have to cover that whole thing. It could be 3 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, it could be the beginning of a night of worship and there's just scripture up on the screen, and what you do during those moments really matters. That's still a transition, even though maybe the beginning of a service or the end of a service. Padding as like a verb in and of itself is an art, and needing to understand how you can serve those moments. Be present, but not be distracting, and that's all really important. So we'll cover padding into the next session, but as far as transitions go, know where you're coming from and know where you're going, and make sure you cover the bases with your worship pastor or worship leader and music director and other band members about how you're going to make that transition. If it falls on the cymbals and you got to turn your volume down and back up on a different chord, make sure you know that. Don't try to fumble through that in the moment. Just be able to prepare that by looking at your set and knowing how that's going to work the best. So if you have any questions about any of that or any concerns, let us know and we'll try to help you as best we can.